Hey everyone, welcome to the Discover Virginia podcast. I'm Joseph Trahan, your host for the #1 video podcast in Virginia, where we explore the rich history, vibrant culture, and iconic businesses that make our Commonwealth truly special and worth talking about. So get ready as together we discover Virginia. Our guest today serves as a business coach working to empower more young adults to feel confident about their finances and secure their financial futures with a faith-based element. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing you all to Jada Mounts. Jada, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we are super excited. And, with the state of prices and eggs and everything in between, it's now more important, I think, really than ever, to have that conversation about finances. My wife actually sent me a reel from your Instagram page to me, and she was like, hey, babe, this is you. This is the strategy. And she's like, I want to implement this. So that's when I knew we had to have you on the show. So thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the first question before we dive into the strategies and how you got into, the financial piece of things, I want to start off with what brought you to the Virginia Beach area. And of course, what got you to stick around and build your life and business here? Because it sounds like you were doing some really incredible things elsewhere, but Virginia Beach kind of just popped up. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, of course. So I am originally from Los Angeles, California. And whenever I tell people that, they're always like, why did you move to Virginia? Because they think that Los Angeles is like this magical place, right? And in some regards, yes, there are a lot more opportunities out there, but I actually came to Virginia Beach because my family lives out here. So my dad's side of the family is here. I always told my grandmother I would move closer to her so that I can just, spend some of her later years with her. And she honors that. She loves it. We have a great relationship. And I decided to really build my home here because I found a really great community within the church. And that's what had me stick around. So I found a lot of friends, my now husband, and I'm like, okay, I like this city. And especially because it's in the middle of everything. So you can, drive an hour and have like a great city like DC. You can go to a beach, go to the mountains, go to the countryside. So there's so many different places that you can be in just in Virginia itself. And so I absolutely love the state.
Wonderful. Jada, thank you for sharing that and highlighting Virginia Beach. Sorry, California. We got another one. I want to start off with your relationship with money too, especially when it comes to the early years, because I think we all have this unique experience where money was something either families did or did not talk about growing up. What was that experience like for you growing up? Was money a conversation topic around the dinner table?
So yes and no. I will say I knew of the money troubles because I felt the effects of them, but I was not invited into the conversation of specifics. And that's okay. I'm a child. So, a lot of the things I'm not going to understand, like debt and all that other stuff.
Right.
But when it comes down to feeling the effects of it, I knew what not to do with money. And I knew that my mom in particular, she would borrow heavily from family members. And I saw the stress that it put on her and the weight that it put on her to be able to pay these people back. And I just knew that I didn't want to be in that same position. And so once I had the example of what not to do, then I had to figure out what to do, right? And so having that conversation with family members was something that was a little uncomfortable from time to time, especially because I'm a child and I'm supposed to stay in a kid's place. And so if I ask questions, it can seem as if I'm questioning the adult. And so I would be scared to kind of bring it up sometimes.
Sure.
But in other times, they will welcome the conversation just a little bit, just so that they ensured that I did start off on a better foot than they did.
Absolutely. And how has your personal relationship been with money, and how has that evolved over time to where you are today as a financial planner and a business coach, budget coach?
So when I was in college, I definitely made sure that I knew every single dollar that was coming in and going out because I was on such a tight budget. And so I wanted to look at what my financial refund checks are going to be so I can budget those out correctly, so I could save up for a car, pay for that in cash. And then also I can go to the financial aid office and say, hey, you're actually giving me too many loans. Like, I don't need that much. And so I was able to reduce my loans, and I was able to teach other college students how to do the same. And so from there, it just evolved over time because I was figuring out, different life pieces that were coming in, whether I was now renting an apartment myself or, now having car insurance. And so all these different life experiences started piling on that expanded what I needed to know about budgeting. So now it's not, okay, we're just going to budget for Ubers, and and home cooked meals for
Right.
college dorms. But now I actually have more adult expenses piling on, and how do I manage that? How do I manage a fluctuating income now that I have a job and different things like that? So over time, I would say it evolved to really be kind of like a best friend kind of a situation, because you want to keep it close so you know exactly what's going on with it. And then you also want to send it out to have a specific function in your life. And so it's not just there to rule you. You actually need to control your finances. And the more I grew up, I understood that, okay, I need to keep them close, and I need to make sure that I stay on top of it instead of it on top of me in order for me to feel comfortable and secure.
Wow. Jada, thank you for sharing that and being open about that as well, because I think especially around money, I mean, it's one of the leading causes of divorce. It
Yeah.
is, like you said, even as a child, you knew of money. And I know growing up personally, there wasn't much money to speak of, but it did play an effect on my relationship with my family as well. And, one of the elements of money and the family unit has also played a significant role is in your journey has been faith as well.
Yes.
I'm curious, how has faith played a part in the way that you specifically see money itself?
So I have to honor my finances to God all the time, because that is the number one way that I tell who is in the authority seat. So if God's not in the authority seat, money is. And the Bible clearly states that we cannot serve both God and money. And so as long as I'm honoring God with my finances, he has the reins to do what he needs to do through me, through the finances, right? And so knowing that, it takes a lot of stress off of me because it's not me that is my own source. I am not the one that has to worry about fulfilling my needs and fulfilling my desires. God is. And so I just have to play my position, which is do the work, be on time, be intentional, and then also honor him with my finances. And then he takes care of the rest. And so tithing has definitely transformed my life, changed it completely, and continuing to give not only to the church, but also to our community as well. And just seeing how fruitful life can be when you give and you're focused on other people instead of just always focused on yourself and just seeking money. It's a tireless game, and you're just like always trying to play catch up when your focus is money. But when your focus is God, you don't have to worry so much.
That's so interesting too, because it seems like it almost would contradict itself from somebody coming maybe the mindset view of maybe non-faith based or maybe loosely Christian values or whatnot, which sounds like you have a Christian faith background.
Yes.
So if somebody says, hey, giving makes me more money, like that doesn't make sense. But what a testament to your faith journey, and that, hey, when I am giving of myself financially and also with my time, it is reaping the benefits. So good for you, Jada. That's awesome. I want to talk about the moment that you began to identify not only what money meant and how it worked, but when you said, oh my gosh, like I can help somebody figure this out. I know you mentioned in your college days with the FAFSA. Was that the first instance, or was there one before that that sticks out to you as being the kind of the first time you gave financial advice to someone else or money advice?
So no, it was definitely college. I was an intern at the Black Resource Center at my university, and I had to put on programs for the college students. And so one of the programs that I decided to put on was called Money 101. I realized that I had a little bit more of a budgeting background than most people, like my peers. And so I said, okay, well, I didn't know that they needed this. And so let me do a workshop to help them out, to help them figure out how to reduce their loans. And so a lot of people came out. It was way more than I expected. And afterwards, like after the workshop, they came up to me. They're like, you did such an amazing job. I did not know this. Like, I'm going to apply this. And I got so much positive feedback that I was like, oh my goodness, I should actually do this.
So you weren't even doing like budget coaching or anything. What were you studying at the time?
Well, I was studying international business with a minor in accounting.
Okay, gotcha.
So the love of personal finance, should I say, came through my accounting classes, because I saw how if you just read someone's balance sheet, you're able to see what they actually did in real time. And so I'm like, okay, if that's true for business, how true is it for personal finance? So if we look at a bank statement, I can tell if you went on a date. I can tell if you were sick that day. I can tell, if you went on a vacation. I can tell all these things by just looking at what you spent your money on. And so that kind of revelation is what led me to say, you know what? I have the control over my life, and then I can control my finances, and vice versa. If I control my finances, then it'll control, like, it change something in my lifestyle too. So I was playing around with that notion, and then I just kind of put it out there, and there was so much feedback that came that was just positive. So I was like, okay, let's do it.
And that was the affirmation for you at that point of like, oh my gosh, I need to do this. And so you were getting, fast forward to college, you were getting your degree in accounting, and that stopped. Right?
Yes.
Or the master's program, or did you get your bachelor's?
So I actually did an early application for my master's program.
Okay.
And so in my, I want to say 3rd year of college, I got accepted into an MBA program.
Yeah.
And right after I graduated, I declined it. And I said, actually, I'm not going to go to do my master's. I want to start my business full time. Wow. So I completely threw that out the window, moved to Virginia, started my business, and now we're here.
And that's when it started.
Yeah.
Where did the name Green Line come from? I know green is money. It's a happy color. What does green line mean to you, and why the color choice?
So green is, obviously that's the color of money here in the U.S. And so I just was like, well, people will understand it. Yeah. But then line was really about this corny catchphrase that I came up with in my dorm room. Get your green in line. And so then I said, okay, Green Line. And then the business started as a planner business.
Sure.
So it was Green Line Planner. And then I kind of just went it from there and never changed it. I said, oh, people already associate my name with what I do, so might as well keep it.
That's amazing. And it just kind of built, the business kind of bloomed from there.
Yeah.
And so I want to dive back into the family aspect as well. Whenever you had mentioned, wanting to move to this area for your grandmother and for your family, money affords us the opportunity to serve just as much as it is to provide. Whenever someone is trying to overcome that hurdle, and it seems like the first step is to take control back, right? Or in the faith element, allow God to take control. Why do you think that's so hard for people? And what do you think are some like practical tips to like navigate that process of, getting that control in order and reestablishing like how those dollars are being spent?
Well, one is accountability.
Okay.
I will say that, because a lot of times people like to just hide from the truth. And the truth is money is controlling your decisions. And I think it's such a hard thing to kind of come to terms with, because it's almost attached to like who you are, right? They attach it to their identity. They're saying like how much money I have in my bank account is attached to my worth as a person, and people judge me off of this, and that means I'm lazy if I don't have the money, or if I'm rich then I'm evil. Like, so there's so many different like misconceptions about money that people internalize, and that's why it's so hard for them to actually get out of the cycle that they're in. And so once they do have that accountability piece and they say, no, something's wrong. Like, I need to be in control of my money. I need to know what's going on. Then they have to accept the responsibility of actually managing it. And so a lot of times too, I hear my clients say like, oh, budgeting is so complicated and it's too hard. And the honest truth is not really. Like, the first time you do it, yes, because you might have to, untie some knots, and
it takes a lot of time too, man. How much did I spend over on Netflix and
exactly,
Starbucks?
Right?
Yeah.
It's a painful process, because you're basically looking at yourself in the mirror and kind of seeing, okay, how have I played a part in kind of messing this up, right?
Sure.
And so they don't really like to do that part. But if you have somebody walking, you through it and making you feel a bit more comfortable and say, no, it's okay. Like, we all make these mistakes. It's okay. Nobody's perfect. Then it feels a little bit better. But yeah, they definitely have to do that part first. And that part is the scary part. And then after you have that, it's just maintaining it. So just every single paycheck that you get, start looking at your finances and budgeting. And I do a zero-based budget. So that means I plan for every single dollar that I earn. No dollar is left without a plan. Because if it's left without a plan, that means it'll spend itself. And if it does that, then it's usually spending itself in a very unnecessary way that is then allowing you to feel like you're, not on top of your game. And so I would really urge people to, like you said, give it to God first. Honor your finances. Honor God with your finances. That is like number one. And then after that, God definitely wants us to have a role. Like, he's not saying, okay, just hand it to me and then that's it. He's saying, no, hand it to me, honor me with it. And then the 90%, after the tithes, that is what you can do to multiply. He calls us to multiply our finances and be fruitful, right? And so with that, that means that we have to get out of debt, because we can't grow our net worth if we still have debt pulling us down. So that's one of the biggest things. And then two, know where your money is going. If you are making a plan for where it's going, that means that you're in the control seat. And so you have to put all the expenses out there, put down your giving, put down how much you're going to spend for leisure, actually plan that out. And then also put some some flexibility in your budget as well, because, what's on paper is not going to be reality all the time. And so you want to put some flexibility in your budget so that you can feel like you have space to breathe and be yourself and, for life to happen. And then it won't make you feel as bad when it's not going according to the plan all the time. It'll make you feel like, okay, I can adjust, I can move, I can adapt because I have that flexibility built into my budget.
Yeah. Well said, Jada. I mean, this is not your first, not your first plan, right? You've been doing this for quite a bit of time, and you've had multiple seminars and speaking engagements where you walk through this really streamlined system. And that's why I wanted to have you on the show today, because money is such, especially those in seasons of debt that I've been in, where it's like, it's very overwhelming, right? And I love that accountability piece too, because you find somebody to help you be accountable, but you also are accountable to yourself, which takes some reflection, like takes some being honest, but also like you added to, and I think this is helpful for the faith element, to have grace where there needs to be grace, where, hey, not every dollar went where it needed to go, but we're getting in a better direction, or we're not doing any kind of extra thing. We're thinking, we're being intentional about it.
Yes.
Jada, what does the word stewardship mean to you?
Oh, that word is it's so heavy, because that is like the key principle to our relationship with money and God, and like the tying of it all. And so when you say the word stewardship, that truly allows me to know that I am just a manager and the money that I have is not my own. Stewardship literally means managing. And so if you're managing something, then that means that you have to abide by the goal of whoever is the one that owns it, aka God. And so the goal of the money is to help others. And so when you're thinking about stewardship, we cannot try to take ownership of it and place our will on the money. We have to submit it to God's will and then steward it properly to His will and His plan. And so really, we just have to make sure that we have integrity with the money that we have, and we're moving in the principles that He has given us. And so stewardship is very near and dear to my heart. And I teach on this all the time. And I actually have a talk coming up very soon about it. And I'm really excited to share on that principle.
Very, very cool, Jada. And we'll have all of your links down in the description below. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to dive into some specific action items that you can take in your finances that Jada is going to walk us through, as well as some of the super easy and free worksheets that she has on her Instagram. We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, Michael here from Behind the Camera. Right now, we're taking a quick break to acknowledge and thank our wonderful studio host, Atlantic Bay Mortgage Group. When it comes to getting information and guidance on financing your next home purchase, we recommend talking with Atlantic Bay. They are one of the original lending institutions in our home city of Virginia Beach, and have a long resume of getting the job done well and making your home buying experience more enjoyable. So, if you're looking to experience Virginia full-time, consider checking them out today at www.atlanticbay.com. Disclosure: loan programs may change at any time with or without notice. Information deemed reliable but not guaranteed. All loans subject to income verification, credit approval, and property appraisal. Not a commitment to lend. Atlantic Bay Mortgage Group, LLC, NMLS number 72043, NMLSconsumeraccess.org is an equal housing lender. And now, back to today's show.
And we're back. Jada, thank you so much again for, really sharing the wisdom piece that has really given you and so many others the power and also the will to really identify what it is they need to do in and of themselves, and also to rely on the Lord for. I want to dive next into some very specific applications. I know you have on your Instagram some really just easy to access worksheets. I think the biggest one is one that's still applicable is I think it's called the 2025 planning checklist. Can you walk through that? What can folks expect while they're doing it? And then maybe give us a few line items of what to be on the lookout for. Because the stock market's down, egg prices are up, and kids are not cheap. So help us, Jada.
So the biggest thing with that is really the organization of the finances. Okay. And so I break it down into a really childlike form where you're simply just dropping eggs into a bucket, right? And I know Easter's coming up, so we all do the Easter egg hunt, and you're just gathering your eggs and you're putting it into a basket. Now, if you have different color eggs, you want to put it in the color basket that it aligns with, right? And so it's kind of that same notion where if you are having your expenses come to you, then you're going to say, okay, how can I organize these expenses? Are these bills? Are these necessities? Are these subscriptions? Is it an investment? Is it a savings? Is it for leisure? And so you want to kind of drop your income into these different baskets in order to basically take care of them properly and manage it right. And so when you have that afterwards, then you want to separate them by account. And so I know that a lot of people are used to having just one account for everything. It's a catch-all, right? But I like to teach on this specifically on the separation of accounts. And so if you have bills, have that in a specific account and have that completely separate from your leisure spending. Because if you're trying to spend on fun and wants from an account that has bills in it, that's when the stress, the confusion comes in. Because then you go up to the register and you're like, wait, did that bill come out? Do I have enough money to pay for this? And then you start questioning yourself. And then the fun is no longer fun because it's stressful.
That's such good advice. That's such good advice too. And I've been guilty of that as well, where I'm like paying, like, do I pay Dominion first? Or do I pay the rent first? Because it's like, it's all in one big basket.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so then after that, I also like to tell people to split it up based on how often they get paid. And so if you get paid bi-weekly, split all your bills up into two, because you want your finances to be as consistent as possible. We like routines. We're in this age where like we have a morning routine, we have a night routine. And so I tell them to split up their finances so that it can be a consistent thing every single time. You know exactly how much you're putting away for bills, for your leisure, for your necessities, and for your savings. And so what that does, it also allows you to find different ways that you can save more money as well. So when you're looking at like a span of maybe 3 months, those months where they have 5 weeks in a month, you're able to then put a week's worth of finances away, because it's a whole paycheck that is actually coming in that's a little bit extra than what you usually get. And so we have 52 weeks in a year. You know, it's just exactly 4 weeks every single month. And so with that, you're able to maybe put away like half your rent and like have an extra boost of savings or an extra boost in what you can pay off on your debt. And so that's kind of like a key little thing that I found out while I was like super planning on my own budget. And I was like, oh wait, this is a really cool
super planning.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
I just found a way to save a lot more money by planning ahead, like 3 months ahead. And I found those 5 weeks to really save me some time. And so I compare my due dates versus my pay dates. And that's how I'm able to find that extra savings.
I love that. I love that. Jada, I want to dive into the relationship aspect next. Not our relationship with money, but what about when we have our boyfriends and girlfriends, our boos, our side pieces, whatever, into the equation? Maybe you're not yet married, or maybe you are married in a relationship. How do you navigate when there's now 2 incomes coming in and there may be, different principles or, different measurements that they're looking to, get through?
So my husband and I, we actually do coach a lot of married couples with our service called 2 Hearts, 1 Budget.
Shout out to husband behind the scenes.
Shout out to husband. Hello. And so when we do that, we really typically like to look at what their approach is already. And we take into account that it is 2 individuals trying to become one. And so you might have a different experience with money from your background, your childhood than the other person. And so trying to blend those conversations is one of the harder things to do. And that's why a lot of times, marriage ends in divorce because of money. But in terms of the approach that we tell them to go to next is really to see what are their goals first. And if they can work towards a common goal, then they can both easily get on the same track in order to reach that goal. Because it's like, that's the common ground, right?
Yeah, the common ground.
Exactly. Yeah. And then in terms of like the actual budgeting of it all, there are different couple ways that you could do it. It's all based on preference. But the one that I love the most is having all your finances combined except for your spending money. And so you can have spending money separately, because what I value, he may not value, and what he values, I may not value. So I might want to go spend $100 on like a makeup kit, and he's like, no. And then he might want to go spend $100 on, football tickets or something. And so I have to be able to say, okay, here's your money, do what you want to do with that. And then here's my money. And so you still have like an individual kind of feel within the same budget, but definitely bills and savings and all that good stuff, that all that is combined. But when we want to spend on the things that we personally find value in, we have our own money for that.
Yeah. Jada, great advice and great tip as well. Just finding that common ground and identifying, what you're going after together. When it comes to the season with kids, and you have other family members as well that get sick every week and are always, sticking their hands in their mouths and, fall and break stuff. Like, what is the guide or blueprint you have for those individuals navigating with children?
So I actually get this question a lot because a lot of my clients actually do have children. And so what I like to say is,
Kids
honestly,
are expensive.
they are very expensive.
And once you get them, you can't,
You have to
'em.
really financially plan for the kids because, they are fully dependent upon you. And so with that, I definitely say have a kid fund. Like you have an emergency fund, but also have a kid fund. And this is specifically for anything that they would possibly need. If it's clothes for school, if it's, cheer practice, or if it's soccer practice, whatever it is that you want to do with your kids, or even like you said, things that come up, have a specific fund for it. And then also what I like to do too, to invite kids into the conversation with money is to give them an allowance, but not necessarily like how the old school way they do, like, oh, clean your room and then you have this money, but you already have money left aside for them. And if they're asking, oh, can we go here? Can we go there? Even as young as like 6, you can say, okay, we have this much left. Like, how would you like to spend it? Now, you asked me for these 3 things, which one is your top priority? And then just kind of walk them through the decision-making process, because that's more so what people struggle with, is the decision-making process rather than the actual numbers themselves.
Right.
And so that's a great way to bring the kids into it.
Because if a kid had a credit card like I do, I'll just buy all 3 things.
Exactly.
And I'm good.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow, that's amazing. And especially too, that you get that question a lot is interesting also, because I think for, the individuals you're speaking to in your audience, they are navigating those seasonality changes as well, which is super helpful. I want to dive into the next guide you have on your Instagram. This is all free, by the way. Check it out. And we'll, follow Jada and all of her wonderful tips down in the link in the description. But the other piece I wanted to capture was the actual, like, and this is my favorite part, the input, the data input. So first question, what is your favorite tool you like to use to organize? Is it just Excel, pen and paper? What is it for you?
Okay, so I definitely like to use Google Sheets because I am not a head math girly. I don't want to do the math. I love math, but I'm not in math class anymore. So in order to make the process a lot quicker, yes, I do like to use Google Sheets because I inputted a lot of automations into the Google Sheets budget templates that I have. And so you're able to just literally plug and go. And so you're able to plug in your income, plug in your different expenses, get those totals, and then be able to actually have that relate to your accounts. And so I really like the Google Sheets template that I created. And then in combination with that, I do have an app. And that right there is like, ooh, it's so good because of the fact that it automatically connects to my bank accounts. And so it will automatically track my spending. It will categorize my spending for me. It will keep track of my debt payoff. It'll give me a debt
accountability.
payoff plan.
It'll tell you everything.
Yes.
Yep.
And, it also gives you notifications too. So if like an unexpected bill comes up, it'll notify you in case if it is fraud or something. And they also will celebrate you if you have no spend days. It will also let you know what bills are coming up next. So it literally keeps you on top of your finances without you even having to try. So I love using those 2 together because the app is for like analytics and for accountability. And then for me, the Google Sheets template is more so for like the hands-on, let me see exactly where I'm at right now. And then I can plug that into the app.
Yeah. For those people who are not like us that don't like using the apps or don't like plugging in the data, I'll tell my wife here, she's like, you just do it. What if they're in that season where, like what's the least amount of information they can get away with while still being a good student and responsible, but also like, I don't need the app and all this stuff.
Right.
Like, how do I just like make it happen?
I would say just list out all your expenses. That is the biggest thing. And if you don't know all your expenses, definitely go to your bank statements and see them because you will actually discover, oh, I have 2 Netflix accounts. What? If you just look at your bank statements. And so I would say do that first and then transfer like all your high level bills. So your rent, your mortgage, get all that into one place. And then simply just put it on a calendar. And then and then also mark your paydays on the calendar too. So you know exactly what bills fall into which paydays. And then from there, just do checks. And then every single time your bill comes up and you pay it, just check it off. And then calculate how much money you have left over. And then just really manage that properly. Because the bills, 9 times out of 10, we got the bills covered. Like they're going to take the money out. That's automatic payments sometimes, Right. But it's really the overspending happens with the leisure because it's like, shiny object syndrome. Like, ooh, I want it. And so they go after it.
Guilty as charged.
Yeah, I'm guilty as charged too. Sometimes I have to reel it in. It's a continuous process.
Well, and thank you for your transparency on that too. Because like, the first step is admitting it, right? To have accountability. So, and I'm sure, and you don't have to obviously keep all your client confidentiality, but I'm sure you see a lot of balance sheets. What do you see as like the biggest thing that goes, maybe the biggest oopsie that people spend too much money on? They go, oops, like that was too much. Like, what is that? What is that common denominator for folks?
Yeah, so this is actually mine too, and it's food.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's food. And, it's not even groceries. It's the eating out. Because the thing is that convenience is really killing our pockets right now. Like, seriously. The convenience of going to get the fast food, not feeling like you want to cook at home, not having the meals prepped, things like that, because it does take time to cook. And then especially if your stomach is talking to you, you're like, you know what, I can just go through a drive-thru and settle my stomach rather than having to wait an hour for the meat to cook and the rice to cook. And so stuff like that, right? And then also having Apple Pay, that is also a convenience factor
Right
that's
on
killing
your
our
phone.
pockets
Yep.
because you can leave your card at home and still have money, And so all of these convenience factors are really pushing us towards spending more money when we don't really need to. Also, credit cards is another convenience factor that can be looked at as something that pushes us towards spending money that we don't have. And so really, I would say get that under control and then you're good to go.
Yeah, Jada. Amazing. Thank you so much for your time today. As we head to our last section, we'd love to roll out the red carpet and give you a final word with the audience.
Yes.
But before we get there, we got to go through some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Should you accept the challenge?
Yes.
You can get the red carpet. You up for it?
Yes.
Awesome. First question, nice and fast, easy. Outside of Virginia Beach, what's your favorite area to visit?
Ooh. Paris.
Paris? Paris,
Yes.
France, or Paris,
Yes,
Texas?
Paris,
All right,
France.
there's a big distinction there, y'all.
Paris, France.
Paris, France. Have you been before?
Yes.
How many times?
I've only been once, but I'm
Okay.
thinking I want to go back again in May. Yeah.
All right, hubby. Yep. You're on it. Save it up. Yep. When it comes to life, work, and play here in the Virginia Beach area, what are some of the maybe top one or two places you like to go and maybe go out for a splurge or enjoy yourself or maybe just, partake in the local cuisine?
Yes, so it's definitely always food. My husband and I love to eat. And so one of the biggest things is also brunch with my homegirls. So I really do like what is it called? The Rustic Spoon. They have great brunch and it's a great affordable price. So I absolutely adore that place. I love to go there.
Great
And also my favorite one, I have to shout them out, is oh my goodness, it's literally my favorite. First Watch.
First Watch. Okay.
First Watch.
I was about to say it's either Bay Loco or First Watch.
It's First Watch.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness,
First Watch
that is my
amazing.
ultimate. That's like number one.
Because they do the juices and stuff too, which is really
the Kale
nice
tonic,
too.
really good.
Because like after 10, I'm like, I don't need coffee. I'm a different person. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely, lovely. Favorite beach to visit in and around the Virginia Beach area?
Oh, okay. So here's a little tea. I don't really like beaches that much.
Okay.
I don't like the sand. Me and sand are not best friends. However, if I were to go to a beach, I would say definitely just Virginia Beach. I don't really like the
Oceanfront.
Yeah, because I was gonna say I don't really like the ocean view. Like it's not my
Ocean
favorite.
View, Norfolk.
Yes. Yeah. Not my favorite, but I do like the ocean front. I'm still learning the names.
Yeah, two very different places. Yeah, but still beach. One's the bay though, and it's a little bit more densely populated and less touristy than the oceanfront. Last one for you, Jada. If you had to navigate someone's budget, and let's just say they were in several credit cards, several loans, car payments, and they had all this debt that they needed to get through, what would be the first thing that you would want to tackle strategically? So we've got the mindset piece to get down. What is the first thing you attack strategically to help get that debt down?
So if we're dealing with different credit cards and loans, I would definitely look at the credit cards first because they usually have a higher APR. And so I like to tackle the thing with the highest APR first, just because it will save you a lot of money. Because the longer that sits, the more interest you're accruing. And that's really just going to hurt your pockets over time. And so I know there's two different ways that you could pay off debt, the snowball and the avalanche method. The method that I'm referring to is the avalanche method, where it attacks the highest APR and then it keeps going from there. So I definitely would work fastest to pay that one off.
Yeah.
Yes.
Avalanche method.
Avalanche, yes.
Lovely, lovely. Jada, thank you so much today. We'd love to roll out the red carpet. You've made it to the end. This camera here, let the people know what you got going on, where they can go to learn more about you.
Awesome. So I post a lot of budgeting tips on my Instagram at Green Line Planner. And then I also have my own personal account at Jada Nicole that you can follow as well for my personal budgeting journey. And I do have a 2025 budgeting template that you're able to download, and as well as a community that is coming out very soon. So please stay on the lookout for that. And that will be able there you'll be able to have all the different budgeting tips that you could possibly want for free, as well as challenges that will help you get from point A to point B to achieve your goals.
Very exciting. Jada, thank you so much for this conversation. We've really enjoyed it. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.